Right, so we are marking an IA here, and I'm showing you my marking process for the IA. We get into the exploration. Okay, so the exploration is worth 4 marks, and I've got my Adobe Reader here. So the procedures. So I'm just going to skim read this. I honestly, I don't really care. I might come back to this. If I'm moderating and I'm coming across a study that I am not familiar with, and I just want to make sure that it is actually a true experiment, or if I can't really comprehend the aim of the experiment or what they're trying to do, the procedures can be really helpful for that purpose. They don't need to be in the body of the report. They can be in the appendix, but I do think it is really clear. But yeah, so the procedures can help. First of all, to see the ethical considerations being met. That's great. That's one thing I'm looking for. And so I'm just going to give that student a little tick there, just to highlight, good, look, they've made it ethical. But otherwise, I'm not going to waste time really reading the procedures. I might come, like I said, I might come back to it later. Well, for my own students, I won't bother reading it because I know what they've done. If I'm moderating, I'll come back to it if I need to, especially if the study doesn't make sense, or I'm just trying to comprehend how they've actually manipulated an independent variable. Right, what I'm looking for each of these 5, and I just want to reiterate, I'm marking this. This is what I'm looking for when you're watching me mark my own students' work. Okay, you're not watching me moderate other people's IAs. This is the feedback I give. This is how I mark. So I'm first of all looking for them to state. I know what keeps doing that. I'm looking for them to state their research design. I don't expect a definition of independent samples, but what I do expect my students to say is not only why, but ideally how they used the independent samples. So yeah, so they describe it, right, and then they explain it. So they say, here's what. So this is I've got another video on my channel about the state, describe, explain, right. So it's what we did, how we did it, why we did it. Okay. Anyway, using independent samples controls for participants. This is great. What I like is that students identify a particular confounding variable that they're controlling for and explaining how they are controlling for it. All participants experience both conditions. They may realize that there should be 2 different results for the 2 different control groups and purposely change behavior accordingly. We randomly separate the participants of the study into 2 even groups and conducted the experiment twice, 1 to each group. Okay, this is great. So they've said why, and then they've said how afterwards. That's probably because they've added the how after my feedback on the first draft. Our participants were other students in our school whose teacher gave permission for them to participate in our study during class. Okay, that doesn't really need to be there, but they don't lose marks for that. All right, what I would say, my feedback here is that there is a, I would write, the design is stated, I'd say design is described, attempt is made to explain, quite a general explanation. And because what I look for in the explanation is, if this explanation could apply to any study, then I don't think it's been fully explained. Okay, and we see that here, right? If participants experience both conditions, they may realize that there should be 2 different results and 2 different control groups and purposely change their behavior. Okay, they could apply to any study, so I don't really think there's an attempt to describe it there, but it hasn't been made clear to this particular study. Now, sampling method is a tricky one, especially when students use opportunity sample, because we get the we invariably get the question about what is what's a suitable explanation. Okay, so I want them to state what they've done, and we chose to find people preferably a class for between time. Yeah, so I want them to state what they've done, how they've done it, and why. Opportunity sample was the most practical sampling method for our study, as participants were chosen for their work time study. Finding available class was more practical and simpler than advanced study. One participant. Okay, and so this is it kind of balances out for me. Sampling method, yeah, that's good. They've made an attempt to explain why they've used it. It was the most practical. I think that should be fine. Something's opportunity. Okay, so that's okay. So I would put here, sampling method is explained. I don't tear myself up over there are 5 criterion here, right? So they've made an attempt to explain this. Again, yeah, there's not many ways you can explain opportunity sampling. To me, that's just fine as it is for now. Okay. Participants were teenagers, both male and female. We chose these. Okay, so this is great. So I've got here, so the participants are described. And we chose these participants, as mentioned, like listening to music, and they were study, so let's have a group. Okay, that's great. That's a good reason, right? That's a relevant reason for this particular study. They've made it relevant. That's great. And this is what I'm looking for in these explanations. That teenagers like listening to music, so this is their target group. That's why they chose those people. Participants around the same age, avoid participant variability. Excellent. Okay, age of women, hearing ability, maybe. Okay, again, so they've added specific reasons why. So not just saying not just being general. So they've done. Okay, enough here for me. They're giving specific reasons why these characteristics are relevant for their particular study. We also control the age, make results more applicable to teenagers and adults. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so now materials. This is one that a lot of students struggle with. They often list them like this, but there's no explanation. So the materials, the choice materials still have to be explained. So informed consent form contain brief natural study. Okay, so I would say materials not fully explained. Now, how do you explain your choice of materials? What I encourage my students to do is to explain their one or ideally both of how do they manipulate the independent variable. So in this case, one of their materials is the use of the Beatles. I want to know, why did they use the Beatles? Why did they choose that? That'd be a really good way to explain their choice of materials. The second thing is the reading comprehension test. I want to know, why did they choose that particular reading comprehension test? Okay, so yeah, so why? And so in the first draft of my feedback, I would be giving feedback to the students here. And in fact, I'll probably be making a video like this explaining it. But again, in the final version, I'm not giving feedback so much for the student as I am for the examiner. Otherwise, as you know, it's going to take me too long. So if you look at here, so they've had an attempt to do the design, the sampling method, participants, materials. Now, what is missing is controls. I would say the controls aren't fully explained here, but they do explain some controls as they go along. But I think controls are missing. I'm going to give them a 2 out of 4. Now, I don't know if I picked that up, that they missed the controls in the first time round. Now, if they had this to me borderlines between a 2 and a 3. If they just had a controls here and explained some of the controls we went through, it's definitely bordering on a 3 or 4. But I think if you miss a whole section like that, it's pretty hard to get into the top mark band. And they haven't fully explained the materials. They've described the participants. So the first 3 are good. So yeah, I think wouldn't it be good if this was out of 5, right? And then you could make a more easy judgment. Anyway, okay, so let's see what I gave them. Here I'm giving them a 2 out of 4, mainly because they missed those controls. I think I might have missed that the first time around. So let's see what I gave them when I marked this yesterday. Exploration procedures, designs explained, samples explained, participants described and explained, material stated but not explained. The choice of this should be, oh, okay, yeah, so same thing. Now, so I've given them a 3 out of 4, like I suspected, because I actually missed the fact that they did not explain their controls. But you know what? I'm going to let that slide. That doesn't bother me too much because they did explain a few controls along here, and it all balances out in the wash. So anyway, there we go, right? You can see if you're marking, 2,000 words, you tend to miss some stuff. Don't worry about it, right? There are more important things in life. Okay, that is the exploration and how I mark the exploration. Next, we'll look at the tricky bit, which is the analysis.